You know, in emails, people write to me and say, do you think your older works are sinful and demonic? And the answer I keep giving is no, absolutely not. They mirror a quest for the truth. They mirror a long philosophical journey. And no, I don't think they're sinful, and I don't think, and they were never demonic. I mean, I didn't believe in the devil when I wrote those books. I didn't believe in the demonic. I believed that people basically committed evil acts because of a lack of empathy or a lack of sensitivity, that a lot of the basis of the evil was impulsiveness and ignorance. And that's very strongly in those works. So I make that case over and over again, that I don't see my past work or my secular work in any way as sinful or demonic. I see it as a discussion of all those issues, and it's a fairly responsible discussion. Now, you asked me what I do think is sinful in writing. There have been many times when I have veered away from a scene because I thought it was sinful to write it. And this didn't have to do with belief in God or the devil. I thought it was just morally wrong. There were certain scenes I just couldn't write. Scenes that would have to do with a vampire killing someone, or scenes where maybe a rape took place, and I found I could not write it unless I wrote it in a way to completely reflect my own revulsion at what was happening. But even though I did this, or tried to do it, I definitely glamorized certain things in my writing. And how can I justify it? I'm not sure that I can. But I see it in all art forms around me all the time. If we're going to talk about war and peace in a movie, inevitably we're going to glamorize war to some extent. No matter how much that movie may be anti-war, like Platoon or Apocalypse Now, there's going to be a glamorization of war in it. And there's going to be an excitement. How do we get around that? I really don't know. I get back to Aristotle's rules for the tragedy, how it had to work. You have to have pity, you have to have fear, and then you have catharsis. Okay, well, we, in making fiction about killing and murder and death, in making fiction about war, violence, vampires, whatever, we make what they do seem somewhat attractive as we go into the work. And then we have to repudiate that in a responsible way. And any work of art that's going to bring you close to a fallible character or a sinful character, if that work is really going to bring you close to him or her, that work is going to glamorize to some extent what that person does. It's a very big problem. I mean, it's the biggest problem in art that exists for me, is how you don't glorify the very thing that you're condemning. I mean, probably every one of you has watched a television show on prime time that purports to be a crime show, but it's really about violence and killing and rape. You know, the cops may storm around and throw the perp up against the wall in the room at the precinct, but basically what's driving the show is a lot of blood and murder and screaming and lascivious shots of the victims. I mean, that's what drives the show. And we've seen that on primetime television for generations, you know, that's what goes on. And when that is really at its worst, you have a totally dishonest work of art, a totally dishonest work, a work that's an utter lie. Well, it's concerned me for years not to lie, but I do know that I am guilty of glamorizing evil. I know that that's true, and it would be foolish to deny it. But is it a problem? Yes, it's a problem, and I don't want it. I don't want the energy driving the book to be the bad guys. I don't want it to be the evil. I want it to be the struggle for something finer than that and something better than that. But I want it to be a profound vision of that struggle, and that's going to involve the darkness as well as the light.